So I've been wanting to do a topic about this for kind of a while, and then something else came up, and then something else came up, and now I feel like I'm required to do it. So, physical games versus digital games. Welcome to Press X. So there's pros and cons to both digital and physical media. I'm personally a physical media guy. I much prefer to have the collection on my shelf. I much prefer to know that I'll always have those games, and that's just how I am. It's how I've always been, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. However, it does feel less and less like I own a physical game as time goes on. Between games having to have updates to fix bugs, people just shipping broken games, people just adding DLC and content like that to the games, it seems like I don't get the full game on the disc anymore. And it doesn't even seem like that, it's just true. So I don't get the full game on the disc anymore, but the other thing about it is the game installs to your hard drive anyway. So you're not really even saving space anymore by having a physical game collection. You're still going to have to delete those games from your hard drive, just like it was a digital game collection. The only difference is I can reinstall the games in a matter of minutes, whereas digitally it may take a matter of hours. So really the line between digital and physical are crossing over. Even to the degree that some games like Minecraft on the PlayStation Vita, when you buy the game, all you get's a code to go download it on the store. That is inexcusable. So let's just go through and talk about some pros and cons of each. So digital games don't take up shelf space, so if you're concerned about that, maybe you live in an apartment, maybe you just don't like having stuff, a lot of people are like that, maybe you'd gravitate more towards digital games. Digital games allow you to download the game day one. Usually you can download the game earlier and then play it right at midnight, whereas physically you'd still have to go to the store, a midnight release. I actually consider the midnight release and everything a positive because I like going to places like that and finding like-minded people and maybe talking to them or whatever about the game that's coming out. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to be bothered, especially if they don't live near a store and they'd have to drive forever to go get it. Plus, if you wanted it shipped to your house because you don't want to drive anywhere, you got to pay for shipping. So the price of the game is going to be different, especially digitally. So digital games tend to go on sale way before physical games, or the sales will be greater. You can find digital games for 70% off, 80% off. It's very hard to find a physical game for that much of a discount without it being Black Friday or some sort of huge clearance blowout. Another huge plus, and my favorite one of digital games, is that you skip the middleman. You don't need to find a publisher. You can usually publish the game yourself, and this creates all these indie games that we love so much. So many, even thinking about something like Minecraft that starts off as an indie game and then eventually gets picked up, and now look at what happened. Microsoft ended up buying that for billions of dollars. So it allows game developers to be game developers. It gives us this unique experience that we 100% would not have if it weren't for indie games and these digital-only sales. And then you get things like Shovel Knight, Minecraft like I listed, just digital games that get physical releases later in their life. And I personally pick up the digital and physical releases. I'll get the digital at launch, and then I'll pick up physical when it comes out. I'll loan it to my friends to play, whatever, but I love having that game on my shelf. And here's why. Because you don't own digital games. You basically have a right to use them, a right to play the game. But if something were to ever happen to the network, if something were to ever happen to your console and the network's down, you don't have that game anymore. You're not going to be able to play it. And this is part of the reason I made this video. So let me give you a few examples. PT. So my hard drive space is full on my PlayStation 4 because, like I said, all games install, whether they're downloaded or on disk. And with that comes PT, a game that I downloaded but is no longer in the store. So my hard drive's full and I have another hard drive to upgrade it to, a 2 terabyte, and I can't justifiably upgrade anymore because I'll lose PT, which was my game of the year last year. Losing PT to me isn't worth upgrading my hard drive. And I've looked online, I've seen that you can do like recoveries to external hard drives and flip, but something can 100% go wrong, and once that happens, PT is gone for me forever. And I don't know if the risk is worth the reward. So just the fact that digital games can literally disappear forever. There was that arcade Ninja Turtles game that was on the Xbox 360 arcade, and it's gone. If you didn't download that game, you cannot purchase that anymore. And it's an unfortunate truth, but that's what's going to happen to all of these games eventually. When the PS6 is out, the PS3 store may not be supported, and if your PS3 breaks and you buy a new PS3, you're just not going to have those games. Which doesn't bother some people, because some people play the game and they're done and they never want to play it again. But somebody like me who always wants to go back and play that game again, or show it to a friend. I play tons of games with my friends that I've already beat. Or just 5 years later, I'll be like, you know what? I haven't played Catherine in a while, I'm going to load that up. You wouldn't be able to do that if everything was digital only. And that scares me. So I'll just talk about a few pros of the physical media that you can get. First off, a big one is that you can lend the game to your friend. You can sell it back to the store, which defeats my purpose of what I like doing. But you can sell it back to the store. I know a lot of people that buy, a game or two, play them, then they trade in those 2 games for a new game, and they play that. They wait until they have enough money to trade in that game and buy a new one, and they kind of keep the cycle going. That's how stores like GameStop and all those places are able to stay in business, really, is buying your game for cheap and then selling it for a higher price. That's where they make the majority of their money. So if we went to this digital-only future, I guess the better question is, why haven't we gone to a digital-only future? And I feel like there's a lot of reasons. First off, everybody's not ready. While there is a big percentage, I think it's 40%, 50% of people that buy their games digitally, there's still a huge push for physical games. I personally, when I bought my Xbox One, I was upset that I got a code for a game instead of the physical game. If you buy the Destiny bundle of the PS4, you actually get the physical copy of the game. But the Wii U and the Xbox One both gave the digital copy. You can see just that is a little bit of a change in how things would work, last console generation. But the big reason that this isn't all digital only is because it screws over stores like GameStop and Target and Best Buy. And you might say, so what? They make more money from digital games. They could sell these digital games for cheaper. This is all true, except how are you going to get your console? Stores sell the console, and then the games bring them back to the store. And then hopefully they buy other stuff, and that's how they make their money. They don't make it specifically on the games. But if we went to a digital-only future, the incentive to sell these games to get these people into the stores is gone. So nobody's going to the store to buy these games. So why should you even sell the consoles if it doesn't help your business in another way? They're not going to be making a whole bunch of money off of consoles. I don't claim to know that, but that's probably the reason they won't cut ties with the physical retailers, is because somebody's got to sell your box. And until it's just something that you can stream directly to your TV, similar to PlayStation Now, but much more sophisticated and it's able to play all the newest games, I don't see that happening. So another game that caused me to want to bring up this topic is Fatal Frame: Maiden of Blackwater. I'm really excited about this game. Nintendo announced that they were bringing it to the West at E3, and I couldn't be happier. It's nice to see another M-rated title on the Wii U, which is not something we've had a whole bunch of. So I was super excited. I started laying down my pre-orders for the year earlier, last week, and that one is not going to be a physical game. It's going to be a digital-only title. Now, I'm okay with something like The Walking Dead being a digital-only title, because they release it in pieces and they release the physical copy, and I always wait till it's finished and then buy the physical copy. I'm okay with that. This is also a episodic game, technically. The first story is going to be free, so go ahead and check it out when it comes out in October. If you think you might be interested, you can play the first part of Fatal Frame for free. Fatal Frame for free. But, it is episodic, but the thing is, they're all done. So the game's coming out physically in places like Europe and in Japan, but here we get a little screwed. We don't get the physical copy of the game, we're only getting it digitally. And I feel like that's just a bad move. Like, I personally would have bought it physically. I'm sure there's a handful of people that would have. And it's even more unfortunate because the Wii U is region locked, which means you can only play games from the region in which that Wii U was purchased. But anyway, that kind of grinded my gears a little bit with the Fatal Frame thing, because I was so looking forward to that game. As soon as they announced the Wii U, I was like, you should make a Fatal Frame game. And Nintendo's like, no. And then years later, they're like, hey, there's a Fatal Frame game. And I was like, ooh, I want it. And then they're like, it's in Japan only. And I was like, oh, that's depressing. And then they're like, we're bringing it to the West. And I was like, yes. And then they're like, but only digitally. And I was like, oh, I'll still get it. So check out Fatal Frame. So yeah, overall, those are just my thoughts on digital versus physical media. I will always buy a digital game if I'm interested and it's digital only. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is a great example. Journey was a great example when that came out. Unfinished Swan, all of these games. And then I buy their physical counterpart when they come out, if they come out. And then there's games that don't release physically that I will do that. The only other time I will get a digital game is if it goes on sale for like an unbeatable price. I'll pick up games that are 75 or more % off if I'm really interested in them. I will make purchases if the price is right, but I would almost always rather pay double that price and get the physical medium to be able to show people in the future and play later generations. But anyway, that's just my opinion on digital media. What's your opinion, physical versus digital? Which would you rather have and why? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and if you didn't like it, share it with your enemies. I'm Kevin McManus, and I'll speak with you soon.